No matter where we go, I know we're gonna make it. No matter where we go, I know we're not alone. We face it all cause now we know that we can take it. We face it all cause we go big or we go home. Dance like you made it, you found it all. This is paradise. Dance like you made it, you found it all. This is paradise. This is paradise. This is paradise.
Yo! Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. I'm your host, Blake Rasmussen, and I'm here with two, Corey Bell and Melissa Vittora. We are going to talk about a lot of Wilds of Eldraine stuff today. You're going to see a bunch of stuff at the bottom, or the main set 3, Jumpstart, Anti-Tail, Set Booster, a little bit of everything. And we're going to have a little message for you in a moment as well. But before we get to that, why don't you're here, people generally know who you are, but what was your role for Wilds of Eldraine? What did you work on?
So I'm a game designer. I worked on a lot of the initial design for Wild of Eldraine Commander, including expanded set booster cards. Then I handed off to Melissa.
Yep, I'm Melissa, senior game designer at Wizards. I worked on the final design for the Commander decks. I worked on the Jumpstart cards, and I did the Commander playtesting for the main set.
We have a bunch of previews to get through. We are in the home stretch for Wilds of Eldraine. But before we get to that, we have a pre-recorded video. So I'm going to throw to past Blake, as well as past Matthew Lillard and friend from Beetle and Grimm's to talk about something cool that they're releasing today. Check it out. Thanks, future Blake. I am here today with Matthew Lillard and Paul Shapiro from Beetle and Grimm's. And you might remember them, and you might remember them visiting us, talking about some cool things they've done in the past, like their Kamigawa bundle, Here Be Dragons, and some other things that I'm sure they're going to bring up. But for Wilds of Eldraine, they've cooked up some pretty tasty accessories. I'm gonna get out of the way and let you all talk about them. So what do you all have planned for Wilds of Eldraine?
Yeah, 5 years ago we started this company based on creating high-end premium accessories for dragons, and with Here Be Dragons and Kamigawa, we decided to move that idea and sort of bring it over to the Dragon space. One of the things that we found is that each box, each drop for us, we've learned a lot. We listen a lot to the community. Both Paul and I play Magic. Paul plays a lot more than I do. He kicks my butt constantly. It's really upsetting. But the idea of building in the space and trying to create high-end premium accessories for players means a lot to us as a company. And so we're excited to bring this new product to light. Paul, do you want to sort of go over? Both of us have one in front of us. Do you have yours in front of you?
I certainly do. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, we can just talk a little bit about
Scatola
what's
di
in
biscotti.
it. What you were saying about the other sets that we've done and learning. I mean, one of the things I think that we're excited about with the Wilds of Eldraine set here is that we kind of picked some of our favorite things from our previous sets, like Here Be Dragons and Kamigawa, and we sort of put them all together into a small little tin just for Wilds of Eldraine. So it has this beautiful art from the set. In an embossed tin, and we really tried to lean into
Bellissima,
the whole sweet tooth gingerbread
molto bella.
theme. And so the star of this set is Sir Gingerbread. We start with this tin that holds everything that's in it. And then my favorite part of it is we actually made a life counter with Sir Ginger. So it's actually a metal life counter that clicks around with her. And it's really... We love it. It's fun. It's useful. You put it at the table. Matt has one too. It makes this really satisfying click.
My nails are disgusting. I'm a disgusting monkey. Sorry.
Ma insomma, a me piace molto di più la confezione, bella. Il punto è se dentro ci saranno dei biscotti oppure no. Ci sono dei segnalini. C'è diversa roba, dai.
Little +1s or
Right
guys.
there on the shield, yep.
And then Sir Ginger is +5. And then we looked at the set and just thought, what else could we, dig into or
But
add
real
to?
quick, the thing I love about this, Paul, before you go on before we go on, I mean, the great thing about it is that it's, they're metal, they're super thick. One of the things that we find in the space is that sometimes not everyone's using the best quality stuff, and so we really try to invest in delivering like a quality product. So they're really heavy, they're really cool, and I don't know, I'm just really excited about the quality and how they came. Yeah, and how they came out. Sorry, keep going, Paul. You were You were pitching
Yeah,
your
no,
little heart out.
absolutely. So,
It was making me
and
so
the other
happy.
thing that we were excited about, so for
Voglio la scatola di biscotti.
things that are going to be sort of fun and collectible, but we really want to always try to make things that are playable. We want to bring things and put things in the sets that are playable. And so with Eldraine, because there was a new mechanic that's being introduced, we were excited about coming up with something that's going to help deliver on that new role mechanic. So
Yeah.
what we did was we made a whole set of aluminum token cards. So these are actually aluminum printed token cards that use the art from the set, but use it in a way that's not being used on the regular tokens. So they're essentially full art tokens. And we did the whole set of all of the different role tokens, and they're really neat. I mean, they're this sort of really nice, sturdy aluminum, shiny on the back.
Sì, sono molto utili perché appunto le carte doverle spezzare non sono tanto utili, mentre queste qua si possono mettere dietro la carta e sopra invece possiamo mettere la carta con sotto il suo testo, ecco.
Because it really is beautiful, beautiful art. And I think the tokens, you get to see a little bit of it, but here you really get to see all of it.
Yeah.
And we were really excited about these.
And you could hear how heavy they were when Matthew dropped his.
Yeah,
Right.
they're awesome. As I throw them at the screen. No, listen. I do think that this is one of the great things about being a licensee of Magic. They are great partners for us. We work really well with them, and they helped us, and they delivered us this great art, which is something that we're really proud of. So it makes it cool.
Yeah. And then the last thing we put in the set are dice. So spin downs. And just for me as a Magic player, I always need more dice, more things to keep track of counters.
Non so voi, ma a me sembra quella caramella Mu che adesso non mi ricordo come si chiama. E secondo me si può confondere, esatto, come un sacchetto di caramelle Mu. Quindi puoi decidere se tirare il dado o mangiarlo e il dado.
Track of everything that I have. And so we decided to just add a whole set of those to really sort of round this out. So, when you go to the table and you bring out Sir Ginger, you're going to be ready for some serious sweet tooth action.
Yeah, a lot like what we did with Behold New Phyrexia. We delivered a sweatshirt that we thought was really cool for the Magic player, and those did really well for us. So we went back and have added a sweatshirt with this drop as well. So it's just something that in terms of merch, in terms of speaking to the community, we built something that we think is kind of cool. We sort of hid the branding, but it's Sir Ginger with like a little.
Non so se siano belle ma insomma a me non piacciono tanto. Voi cosa ne pensate? Voglio che lo scriviete nei commenti perché è interessante sapere la vostra opinione.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there that weekend, but Paul, you have the lucky opportunity to meet Paul Shapiro in person at MagicCon Vegas. I will be shilling myself in another con somewhere else, but we'll have a lot of sweatshirts available. We do have a very limited number of these. So what we did is we went out and sort of like we're always trying to make sure as our business model here, we want to make sure we're selling out and moving full units. So there's not that many available of the set. It's reasonably priced. Paul, what are we selling it for again?
This is a $40 set. So the tin is $40 and includes everything that we just went through, and so those are going to be available.
So many counters, Paul.
È in vendita a $14 con dentro penso tutta quella roba. Non so se conviene, penso che in Italia verrà venduta a €15.
We do go on sale next week, or this week actually. We do go on sale this week.
Today.
And then we are
Today
today we go on sale. Sorry, so this it airs. It's Anyways, the week before. So yeah, time jump. But we will make sure that we hold 200 of these to sell at MagicCon. No matter what happens, if they go flying off the shelves at Beetle and Grimm's. We will hold 200 of them for the first 200 people to show up at the booth in Vegas.
All right, and so to recap, for $40 you get the cool storage tin with Sir Ginger on the front. You
Ecco, per 15 euro in teoria abbiamo un segnapunti che però può essere usato anche per Commander, però arriva fino a 21 vite minimo, 40 massimo. Ci sono i segnalini, c'è la confezione e adesso qua fanno vedere di nuovo la felpa che è a parte anche quella.
And then the roll tokens are as well. And we're really looking forward to MagicCon Vegas. We had a great time at Philly. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see everybody. We actually learned a lot from the feedback and just showing people stuff and hearing what they had to say. So a lot of that feedback went into this Eldraine product. So we're excited about that too.
Great.
Yeah, and success is one of the things that we hope to keep doing, building very specific high-end token sets and for specific drops. So.
And if people want to order these online, where do they go?
Yeah, beetlegrims.com/magic, right? Isn't it like a /magic and you're in?
Sure.
Easy to find. Easy to find. Beetlegrims.com.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you two for stopping by in the past for the future for this sale that is happening now in the future.
So crazy. It's crazy.
It's time is a construct. Nobody knows. But head to beetleandgrims.com. The website will know. Or plan on stopping by the booth at MagicCon Las Vegas.
Beh, adesso che stanno facendo vedere la scatola, a me piace.
Yes, man. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to throw it back to past Blake now.
Future Blake. That's fine.
Yeah, future Blake. Thank you, past Blake and Matthew and Paul. Those are on sale right now. If you head to beetleandgrims.com, I put the link in chat if you're interested and check those out. Let's talk preview cards. We got the rest of the show to just talk preview cards. So we're gonna kick things off with some cards from the main set, and we're gonna start things a little slow. We're gonna ease into this, and we're gonna show off the basic lands, the non-polar basic lands, which are gorgeous. And let's put those up there. We got 10 of these to show off. And there we are.
Non capisco come mai anche queste art non le facciano full art. Sarebbero belle anche queste. La possibilità di poter scegliere tra full art e basic.
5. We got a little darker tone. That plain speaks to me.
I'm a big fan of little lights.
Little lights. So the swamp is good for you too.
Good, any contrasting colors, little lights.
Any tiny lights. That's what Corey wants.
Yes.
You hear that, artists? You want to work for Magic the Gathering? Tiny lights.
I desire
Tiny lights. All right. Let's move on to a few rare preview cards. We've got one of the Cycle of Restless Lands. So this is Restless Vinestock. It's the
Restless Vinestock, Terra, entra nel campo di battaglia tappata, la tappi, aggiungi verde o blu, 3 più verde o un blu, fino alla fine del turno diventa una creatura 5/5, pianta blu e verde, con travolgere, è ancora una terra. Quando attacca, ogni qualvolta attacca fino a un'altra creatura ha forza e costituzione 3/3 fino alla fine del turno.
All right. Next card we're going to show off is Questing Druid. So this is
Questing Druid, uno verde, creatura druido umano, cerca la bestia, uno rosso, istantanea avventura, esilia le prime 2 carte del tuo grimorio fino al prossimo fine turno puoi giocare queste carte. la creatura dice ogni qualvolta lanci una magia che è bianca, blu o nera o rossa, mette +1/+1 su questing druid, quindi diventa grosso facilmente, sì.
Long ago.
Vintage playable Quirion
Well, I
Dryad
played
for a
it in
time.
extended.
Yep,
I remember taking it to a GP like back in 2002 or something.
yep, yep. And Magic passed that card by a little bit, but I think he's sticking adventure on it that gets some additional cards. And you know, if you have multiples of these, the adventure triggers the creature side and feeds itself, and I think we'll be seeing a lot of this card.
Yeah, this card is awesome. So much value, and it's also pretty interesting that like it's not always obvious to play the adventure first rather than this guy. Sometimes you just want to run this guy out on turn 2.
All right. Now, let's check out it's one of the objectively sweetest cards in the set.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool. It's also very powerful. So let's take a look at the Iron Crag. So the Iron Crag is
Iron
a
Crag, 2 mana, artefatto leggendario, tappa, aggiungi in colore. Ogni qualvolta una creatura leggendaria entra nel campo di battaglia sotto il tuo controllo, puoi far diventare l'Iron Crag un equipaggiamento leggendario artefatto chiamato Everflame. Se lo fai, guadagna equipaggiare 3 e la creatura equipaggiata prende +3/+3 e perde tutte le altre abilità.
A long time. I don't even remember when that was. I'm sure the chat can answer, but like really big deal to have a strong ramp piece as strong as this, and also a pretty big deal in Commander. Like there are already lots of options for 2-mana rocks, but here's another one, and it also becomes a sweet sword later.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic card for equipment decks. A lot of them, you know, the density of what equipment are on your deck for Commander is something that you have to think about when building an equipment deck.
Yeah.
But a mana rock, you're always going to have a mana rock. You're always going to want 2-mana mana rocks. And to have a 2-mana mana rock become an equipment, I think is such great utility for basically every equipment deck that's out there.
Yeah. And this one's pretty powerful, but also like the level that a 2-mana colorless mana rock needs to clear to get played in standard is pretty low. Just like if we printed 2-mana tap at a colorless, it could see play.
For sure.
So yeah, this does more than that. All right, so that is the Iron Crag. All right, so now we're going to move on to the Jumpstart cards. So first of all, before we jump into the Jumpstart cards, that was bound to happen. Melissa, there's some weirdness because we aren't actually printing Jumpstart packs for Wilds of Eldraine. So what's going on here?
Yeah, there's some weirdness. So we work on products a year or more in advance. So we thought we were going to make the Jumpstart product. So we made the Jumpstart product. We made all the new cards, made the packs, and then somewhere down the line we were told, hey, we're actually not going to release this as a Jumpstart product. But we still had the cards, we still had the art, and we were really happy with a lot of the designs. So we decided to release the cards anyway. And now they're just going to be in the set boosters and I believe collector boosters, right?
Correct, yeah, yep. So yeah, you can still get all these in set and collector boosters, all the places you could get the Jumpstart cards outside of Jumpstart packs before. So they'll be available. So let's go through these. First up, we have Food Coma. So Food Coma is 3 and a...
Coma da cibo. 3 bianco, incantesimo, non comune. Quando entra nel campo di battaglia, esilia una creatura da bersaglio controllata da un avversario finché non lascia il campo di battaglia. E creiamo una pedina cibo. Pedina cibo, 2, tappiamo, sacrifichiamo questo artefatto, guadagniamo 3 vite.
And they decided to give this like really cool bee sheep art, which is really funny. And we all like really fell in love with this artwork. And when we found out we weren't making Jumpstart, we were like, but what about the bee sheep?
Yeah, bumble sheep. It's right there in the flavor text too. Busy as a bumble sheep. That is apparently a saying.
Very great concept. Amazing card name. Gotta love this card.
All right, next up is Lady of Laughter. And the first thing you might notice before I read the card is that it has...
Signora della risata, 3, bianco bianco, creatura, fatina nobile, volare, celebrazione. All'inizio della nostra sottofase finale, se 2 o più permanenti non terra sono entrati nel campo di battaglia sotto il nostro controllo in questo turno, peschiamo una carta.
But the rares for these cards, they had two goals mainly. One was obviously to be cool in the Jumpstart packs, and the other goal was to be a sweet commander card, because a lot of new players tend to jump into commander after they're done, you know, with their new.
Sinceramente io non so se il costo vale lo scopo, perché comunque abbiamo a 5 mana un volante 4-5 che ci fa pescare se c'è una determinata condizione. Non so se verrà giocata tanto, ecco.
Gonna be a squirrel and a frog and some nuts, I guess, are the things entering the battlefield. Because, yeah, sure, why not? All right, next up we have Pests of Honor.
Pesti dell'onore, può essere. 2 bianco, creatura topo, celebration, all'inizio del combattimento nel nostro turno, se 2 o più permanenti non terra sono entrati nel campo di battaglia sotto il nostro controllo in questo turno, mettiamo un segnalino +1/+1 su peste dell'onore. 2/2, creatura topo. Gustoso.
Yeah, actually one of our goals was to make a lot of the cards cute. So we were really going for cuteness. We wanted to give like cute creature types. You'll see another cute one later. I'm excited about it.
All right, well, let's move on to Fairy Slumber Party. Some of you may have seen this card yesterday, but
Ok, questa è già stata spoilerata. La festa delle fatine, 4 blu blu, stregoneria rara. Facciamo tornare in mano tutte le creature in mano ai rispettivi proprietari. Per ogni avversario che ha controllato, si è ripreso in mano una creatura in questo modo, tu crei 2 fatine blu 1/1 con volare, e questa creatura non può bloccare solo creature con volare.
You know, they're very tricky and
their whole shtick is making people feel bad about things. Yeah.
hard to like find a rare that was like, hey, this is not miserable to play against. So we really leaned into commander a little bit more on this one with the for each opponent who controlled a creature returned shtick. So I think this turned out to be a really cool commander card and just like a nice board reset and gives you some fairies. So just cool thing.
So that's there are some people asking about the collector number. Why is it 310? Why is this 311? And again, those are the numbers given to Jumpstart cards, which are above and beyond the main set, but still standard legal. Next up, Rowdy Research. Rowdy
Research, 6 blu, istantanea, non comune. Questa magia costa 1 in meno per essere lanciata per ogni creatura che è attaccata in questo turno. Peschiamo 3 carte, questa è un forte peschino, sì, non è male.
And you can also use this defensively as well if your opponent is attacking you with a bunch of stuff.
Card.
Oh yeah, it doesn't say creatures you attacked with this turn. Okay, I dig it. All right, next up, another fairy. We've got Storyteller Pixie, 3 and a blue.
Fatina racconta storie, creatura, mago fatina, volare. Quando lanci una magia con una magia avventura, peschiamo una carta. Creatura 3/3, costa 3 e un blu. Quindi costo di mana convertito 4.
To make a cool card for like a casual constructed adventure deck.
Absolutely. And this takes those boxes. All right, next up we have Experimental Confectioner. So this is 2.
Confezionatore sperimentale, 2 nero, creatura, peasant, non so cosa sia, umano. Quando entra nel campo di battaglia creiamo una pedina cibo. Quando sacrifichiamo un cibo creiamo un ratto 1/1 nero con questa creatura non può bloccare. Creatura 2/3 a costo 2 più un nero.
So this is just like, hey, here's a bunch of tokens.
Yep.
And the flavor is really cool too with this food guy.
Flavor. All right. Next up, we have another rare. So this one's pretty cool. So this is Malevolent Witch Kite. So it's 4 black.
Malevolent Witch Kite, 4 nero nero, creatura farabutto drago, una cosa simile. Volare, quando entra nel campo di battaglia sacrifichiamo un qualsiasi numero di artefatti, incantesimo e pedine. Poi peschiamo altrettante carte. Questa è un ottimo macchina per il sacrificio, inoltre ci fa pescare tantissimo.
Was we wanted to make a dragon who's also a witch. So here's what we came up with.
There you go.
My favorite of the Jumpstart cards. I think this card is so sweet.
Yeah. This will make an appearance in a lot of places. All right. Next up, fun legend, Old Flitterfang.
Vecchio Flitterfang, 4-1 nero, creatura leggendaria, rattofatina, volare. All'inizio della nostra fase finale, se la creatura è morta in questo turno, creiamo un cibo. 2 nero, sacrifichiamo un'altra creatura o artefatto, lui prende +2/+2 fino alla fine del turno. 3-4, creatura leggendaria, 4+1 nero, può essere comandante.
Because I remember we wanted to have a creature with flying to just help the pack close out games in the Jumpstart experience. And we also wanted to have a rat because there was like a bunch of rat creature type matters going on in the packs as well. So we were like, hey, can we do this? And we were like, there's no way that we can do this. And then the creative lead was like, actually, I think I can make this work. So he came up with Old Flitterfang. And we added legendary on it late because it felt pretty legendary, like especially with the name. So if this can be a cool like peasant commander, is that what you can do with like the uncommon commander?
People are going to find things to do with this just because I mean, look at it. It's a rat fairy. Yeah, that's so cool. All right. Next up we have Become Brutes.
Diventare brutale. 1 rosso, stregoneria. 1-2 creature bersaglio e prendono rapidità fino alla fine del turno. Per ogni altra di queste creature, per ognuna di queste creature crea un ruolo mostro attaccato ad esse. Il ruolo dice la creatura incantata prende +1/+1 e ha travolgere.
Example, you would play this on your big guys and have a way to close out games. And I guess third is like the concept, just like 2 guys becoming huge, so it was just like really funny. So that's what this card was trying to do, which is a lot.
Next up we have Charging Hooligan.
Hooligan che corre veloce in carica, va bene. 3 rosso, creatura pesante che non so cosa sia ancora, umano. Quando attacca prende +1/+0 fino alla fine del turno per ogni altra creatura attaccante. Se un ratto è attaccante prende anche Charging Hooligans, prende anche travolgere fino alla fine del turno. Ogre Chitterlord, 4 rosso, creatura guerriero ogre, minacciare. Quando entra nel campo di battaglia o attacca, creiamo 2 ratti neri con questa creatura, non può bloccare. Poi se controlliamo 5 o più ratti, ogni ratto che controlliamo prende +2/+0 fino alla fine del turno. 6-5, costo 6 mana, cui 4 incolori e 2 rossi.
We wanted some Titan vibes here, like to help packs close out games, and also just be a cool like go wide payoff for like a casual constructed deck or a commander deck or something. And then it has the whole rat bonus going on if you're into rats.
If you're into rats, which this Chitterlord clearly is. Now I've been playing a bit of Arena Cube lately, and I've drafted a few Grave Titans myself, and this is not like far off. It's not as good, but it's not that far off. It's reminiscent. Certainly is. All right. We talked about cute cards earlier. Here's one of those cute cards. Intrepid Truffle Snout. Look at that little boar.
Intrepid Tough Snout, uno verde, creatura cinghiale. Andiamo per le terre selvagge, uno verde, istantanea avventura. Una creatura bersaglio prende +2/+2 fino alla fine del turno. La creatura dice ogni qualvolta questa creatura attacca da sola crea una peduna e cibo. 3-1, costo 2, incomune, non comune, scusate.
Okay.
And she did a great job, so shout out to her. Yeah, this card is adorable.
It's adorable. The art's
It's fantastic. Yeah, I love everything about that card. All right, next up, this is some of my favorite art in the set on this next card, actually. Provisions Merchant. 2 green and...
Provision, mercante provision, non so cos'è. 2 verde verde, creatura, bestia, peasant, che non so cos'è. Quando entra nel campo di battaglia creiamo una pedina cibo. Ogni qualvolta attacca puoi sacrificare un cibo. Se lo fai, le creature attaccanti prendono +1/+1 e non travolgere fino alla fine del turno. Costo 4 mana, 2 incolori e 2 verdi per un 3-3.
An Eldraine hamburger on a skewer or something?
Could be. Let's call it that. Let's say it is. We'll check the art description later. All right, final card, Wildwood Mentor. The final jumpstart card, I should say. We've got more.
Wildwood Mentor, 2 verde, creatura silvantropo. Quando una pedina entra nel campo di battaglia sotto il nostro controllo, mettiamo un segnino +1/+1 su questa creatura. Quando questa creatura attacca, un'altra creatura attaccante bersaglio prende +X fino alla fine del turno, dove X è la forza di Wildwood Mentor. 3 mana, rara, 1/1.
And this product could generally be a little broader, so you can put them in your casual constructed deck or your commander deck or something. So even though the theme was food, we wrote token on this to make it work in a variety of commander decks. So like, go nuts in your soldier tokens deck or, whatever you want to play.
Yep.
But this card can get huge very quickly in commander when you're building around it.
Absolutely.
All right, that covers all of the jumpstart cards. Now, reminder, these are going to be found in set boosters and collector boosters is where they're going to be found, since there is no jumpstart product for this set. All right, next up, we're going to talk about 4 of the last Enchanting Tales, and we're going to talk through, I believe it's a couple uncommons, rare. We've got one of the Japanese treatments, so let's take a look at our first one, Compulsion. This was a blast from the past.
Compulsion, 1 blu, incantesimo, a 1 blu più scartiamo una carta, peschiamo una carta. A 1 blu e la sacrifichiamo Compulsion, peschiamo una carta.
1 and a blue, sacrifice Compulsion, draw a card. So this card, back in the day, it was a madness enabler. You can do a lot of graveyard shenanigans with this. Really cool card. A lot of wild things you can do with this. Next up is a really clever inclusion, I think.
Hatching Plans, 1 blu, incantesimo. Quando questa carta viene messa nel cimitero da campo di battaglia, peschiamo 3 carte.
But I think this with Bargain is really clever.
One of my favorite cards to draft when playtesting this set is Bargaining. This is a dream. As soon as I see this in a pack, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm picking this, I'm picking bargain cards, and I'm drawing a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course that art is gorgeous. I love the flavor. Taking a dragon egg and it's gonna hatch, and it's not gonna be great for them. Yep. All right, next up, when I first saw this next card on the list, I was kind of like, what's this card doing here? But I think it actually is really clever because it covers multiple archetypes. So Dragon Mantle.
Mantello di drago, 1 rosso, incantesimo aura, incanta creatura, quando entra nel campo di battaglia peschiamo una carta. La creatura incantata paga 1 rosso, questa creatura prende +1/+0 fino alla fine del turno.
Limited, a lot of the limited themes care about multiple permanents entering the battlefield or your stuff being enchanted, and this replaces itself at a very low cost, so low opportunity cost to put in your deck.
Absolutely. It is sweetheart. We did get the question in chat, and just to clarify, are the uncommons standard legal like they were with Strixhaven? No, they are not. So the Strixhaven uncommons were cards that already existed in standard, and thus were standard legal. They weren't made standard legal because they were uncommon. That is not the case with the Enchanting Tales here. All right, finally, a pretty sweet reprint that has the anime treatment. We've got As Foretold.
Come predetto, 2 blu, incantesimo, all'inizio del nostro mantenimento mettiamo un segnalino tempo su come predetto. Solo per una volta ogni turno possiamo pagare 0 invece di pagare il costo di mana per una magia che lanciamo con valore di mana X o meno, dove X è il numero di segnalini di tempo su come predetto.
I don't know. This card's really sweet. It's super powerful. Obviously, you can do some cool things in older formats with the suspend cards that don't cost anything, and you can cast them immediately. But yeah, draft, no idea.
Like Ether Vial type thing in draft.
Yeah,
You can also bargain it away later if you don't need it anymore.
that's true. That is true. All right, that's what we have for Enchanting Tales, but we're not done yet because, as Corey alluded to earlier, we also both Corey and Melissa worked on the set booster cards. So the set booster cards are commander legal cards that are only found in set boosters and collector boosters, and they have a bunch of sweet effects that don't really fit into the main set, but do a lot of cool things. So we're going to talk first through a cycle that are reminiscent of an old cycle. So let's start off with Court of Ardenvale. So this is 2.
Corte di Ardenvale, 2 bianco bianco, incantesimo, quando entra nel campo di battaglia diventiamo al monarca. All'inizio del nostro mantenimento riprendiamo in mano una carta permanente bersaglio con valore di mana 3 o meno dal nostro cimitero in mano. Se siamo il monarca invece la rimettiamo sul campo di battaglia.
These 5 cards, obviously they're courts. They're all going to be giving you the monarch. They're very reminiscent of the court cycle from Commander Legends, the first one, which ETB give you monarch, have a trigger that upgrades if you're still the monarch. And a lot of Wilds of Eldraine is focusing on kind of the wilds of Eldraine and less so on the courts. For the set booster cards, we thought it'd be fun to pull more inspiration, see what's going on with the courts, and see if we could mix the monarch mechanic as a fun commandery multiplayer gameplay piece into those courts, the 5 courts of Eldraine. And so here we are, we have 5 courts doing the monarch and just generally trying to be pretty fun cards with this structure, whereas the art is kind of, hey, letting you know what's up with these courts nowadays post the war, you know, the multiversal war.
Now I'm seeing a couple questions or comments in chat, Melissa, about, you know, maybe some of these are going to be legacy playable. Did you all have legacy in mind when you were developing these?
We're making cards that are Eternal format legal. We always have legacy in mind. We have several legacy consultants in the building that we ask about, especially for mechanics that are historically legacy playable, like Monarch. So for these, we were very mindful of like, oh, hey, these are probably going to affect legacy. We should talk to the legacy consultants and see like, hey, are these like cool in legacy? Are they positive additions to the format, or like should we pull back a little bit? So yes, we did have this in mind, and I'm not sure if these are going to be like strong in legacy, but like if they are, like maybe that's cool.
All right. So let's take a look at the rest of these, and we'll talk about them individually. So next up is Court of Ventress, also known as the
Corte di Ventress, 2 blu blu, incantesimo, quando entra nel campo di battaglia diventiamo il monarca. All'inizio del nostro mantenimento scegliamo fino a un altro incantesimo bersaglio o artefatto. Se siamo il monarca creiamo una pedina coppia di esso. Se non siamo il monarca possiamo far trasformare Corte di Ventress uguale a questo bersaglio. tranne che ha questa abilità.
Manage it. So it's kind of a tricky one, but Vantress, they love their mirrors, so kind of made sense flavorfully.
Yeah, we wanted to like make you get paid off if you keep the Monarch, which I think is really hard to keep in most Commander games. So for this one, like since this one is so weird, like it's not generally useful like the last one was. You know, you have to like be building around it with enchantments and artifacts. So we wanted to give the player more of a payoff if they kept Monarchy here.
Absolutely. All right, next up, Court of Locthwain. 2 black, black.
Corte di Locthwain, 2 nero nero, incantesimo, quando entra in campo di battaglia diventiamo il monarca. All'inizio del nostro mantenimento esiliamo la prima carta di un grimorio bersaglio. Possiamo giocare quella carta fin tanto che rimane esiliate e mani di qualsiasi tipo può essere speso per lanciarla. Se siamo il monarca, fino alla fine del turno possiamo lanciare una magia tra le carte esiliate con Corte di Locthwain senza pagare il loro costo di mana.
Grade was different. Do you have any?
I don't remember what the card used to do, to be honest. But I do remember that we did redesign this one. But I don't know, like, first I'll just say, I love exiling the top card of opponent's library in Commander and playing it. It's super fun. It's random, high variance. You never know what you're going to get. So I think that ability is really cool. And secondly, the floor of this card is very high. You're just getting a card every turn. So when something has this high of a floor, we want to not also give it an extremely high ceiling. So the upgrade is a little bit less than like maybe the upgrades on some of the other ones. Like you're only getting a card for free rather than a card that you have to pay mana for. So that was the idea with this one here.
Yeah, I like that, like you can stockpile kind of the cards that you're exiling, and if you have the Monarch for one turn, you can actually cast the card from the past that maybe you exiled and didn't have enough mana to cast.
Yeah.
I think there's kind of some fun.
It's not just
That
Yes.
turn. Yeah.
You exiled at that moment, you could cast some previous one, so there's a fun little dynamism to play this card.
Yeah.
And as Chad's pointing out, this art is fantastic. All right, next up we have Court of Embereth.
Corte di Embereth, 2 rosso rosso, incantesimo. Quando entra nel campo di battaglia diventiamo il monarca. All'inizio del nostro mantenimento creiamo una pedina creatura cavaliere 3-1 rossa. Se siamo il monarca, la corte di Embereth infligge X danni a ogni avversario, dove X è il numero di creature che controlli.
Go. But another thing that I remember about this card is another thing that us as designers, we have rules to follow in regards to color pie. And so I remember this card was not adhering to color pie when we got our hands on it because white is supposed to be the best color at tokens. And this card was a very strong token maker that was stepping on white's toes. So we had to redesign it to make it feel a little bit more red. So one of the things that we did to make it feel more red is the payoff for if you keep the Monarch, you get to deal damage, which is very red. So that was that was good enough for satisfying the Color Pie Council there.
Right.
Well, let's move on to the last of the courts, Court of Garenbrig. So,
Corte di Garenbrig, 1 verde verde, incantesimo. Quando entra nel campo di battaglia diventiamo il monarca. All'inizio del nostro mantenimento distribuiamo 2 segnalini +1/+1 tra 1 o 2 creature bersaglio. Poi se siamo il monarca duplichiamo il numero di segnalini +1/+1 su ognuna di quelle creature, su ognuna delle creature che controlliamo. Molto forte, costo 3 rara, ma purtroppo è legale per Commander e per i formati Eternal.
You're putting counters and you're doubling the counters and the creatures. I just think that's a fun thing to do. A big Hydra fanatic, so hey, here it is. Quite simple. Put counters on it, double it if you stay the Monarch. That's the dream. I really like there's like that Naya Monarch guy from Commander Legends 1 that puts a bunch of counters on himself. So hey, it works with that.
Yep.
You can double the counters there.
Yeah, and as for mana cost stuff, like it's nice to have a clean cycle with all of the same costs, but then you run the risk of like having different power levels that you might not be happy with. And I remember this one was just not a very satisfying card to play at 4 mana. And we really felt like 3 mana was like the way to go here. So we were kind of weighing in like, do we break the cycle or do we like keep it and just like, we know we're going to have like a slightly weaker card. And then if you up the number of counters on it to compensate for the mana cost, it's just too strong and not fun. It snowballs really hard. So we just felt like 3 mana was correct here. So we decided to just break the symmetry of the cycle. So sorry, Corey, if that was something that bothered you. But
I think it's a great design. No, I literally do think that symmetry is a prism. And
Nice.
I agree, like at 4 mana, there weren't satisfying numbers for this type of design. At 3 mana, everything flows easier in gameplay, and it makes sense in the point of the game that you're playing it. So I'm a huge fan of where this landed.
All right, we have 3 set booster cards left, and they're pretty spicy.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right,
Restano solo 3 carte per i set booster. Sono comunque carte giocabili, come abbiamo detto, nei formati eterni, ecco.
I have great news.
foreshadowing. I don't. Is this one busted too? I don't know. It's pretty strong. It looks pretty cool. So let's.
You guys think
We'll
that.
see,
I'm not
we'll
going to
see.
say my opinion on the power level or
Once
anything.
we show the card, let's hear what chat thinks of Corvold Gleeful.
Corvo nuovo, Corvo il glifo il glutto, 5 nero, rosso e verde, creatura leggendaria, dragono nobile. Questa magia costa 1 in meno per essere lanciata per ogni tipo di carta tra i permanenti che abbiamo sacrificato in questo turno. Volare, travolgere, rapidità, fortissimo. Quando infligge danno a combattimento a un giocatore, metti X segnalini +1/+1 su Corvold e pesca X carte, dove X è il numero di tipi di permanenti, tipo di carte permanente nel tuo cimitero. Costo 4/4, molto, veramente molto forte, sì.
Split. I wanted to make Corvold. I like this idea of doing this pseudo delirium type thing in this set where there's a lot of bargaining going on. You want a lot of different permanent types. I really enjoyed moving Corvold to that direction because he originally cared a lot about sacrificing. I also really wanted to make like at the time I wanted to make a card that cost like 10 mana. And I think I shipped this to Melissa like 10 or 12 mana.
12 mana or something.
some ridiculous amount with some insane thing. I'm really happy with A4. So I really wanted a Jund commander specifically, that had a high mana value, so I could play. I mean, past few years I've been designing these cards that scale on your commander's mana value, and a lot of them landed in Junds, and I really wanted to position Corvold as this big sacrifice card that could play those cards. Then I shipped it to you, Melissa.
Yeah, so as the person who designed the first Corvold, I knew that this Corvold had a lot to live up to, and I knew that it was going to be really hard to live up to the first Corvold because that Corvold just draws so many cards. So the direction that we went here was if the player like puts a lot of work into their deck building and does a ton of setup, then you can get this massive payoff of like drawing a ton of cards the same way that the first Corvold did. So, and like, I think to get the cost reduction, you have to do a lot of work. You know, you have to have like treasures or like artifact tokens or just maybe you're doing some bargaining stuff, but you have to do a lot to get the cost reduction. And then when you do get it, like it's easy to just hit them and draw a bunch of cards, but you get massively paid off if you end up putting in that work and filling up your graveyard. So does it live up to the first Corvold? I would like to hear from chat about that.
Seems to think it's not as powerful as old Corvold.
Hard because Corvold just draws a card if you just like
If you sneeze on it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is it as cool as original Corvold?
They seem to think it is pretty cool, but it's not as powerful as old Corvold. All right. It could be.
Corvold. I think it's so sweet.
All right. Next up might be an even sweeter card. It might be.
It is my favorite card that we designed in this set.
This is Brennard, Ginger Sculptor.
Brennard, scultore di biscotti, uno verde, bianco, blu, creatura leggendaria, artefice umano. Ogni creatura che controlliamo che è un cibo o un golem prende +2/+2 a travolgere. Quando un'altra creatura non pedina che controlliamo muore, la possiamo esiliare. Se lo facciamo creiamo una pedina che è copia di quella creatura. Tranne che è un cibo, golem, artefatto 1/1 in aggiunta sugli altri tipi e ha 2 tappa. Sacrifica questo artefatto, guadagni 3 punti vita. Creatura leggendaria può essere comandante e un comandante Bant impostato su cibo e golem. E vediamo se nel set, ma insomma sul set secondo me si può lavorare abbastanza bene, c'è abbastanza materiale per poterci lavorare, ecco. Più che altro bisogna vedere un attimo come si può costruire questo comandante attorno, ecco. Può piacere, non piacere, ecco.
Food, and suddenly those animated food has +2/+2 in trample. Mind you, those splicers and like stuff that animates artifacts often have ETB, so when those dies, they come back and they can do their stuff again.
Yeah.
There's so much to do, I think, with this Ginger Sculptor, and I just think the concept is so lovely. I have no idea why he's wearing goggles, but I am here for it.
People's hard work.
It's hard work.
Get gingerbread in your eye,
Yeah.
gumdrops shooting all over the place.
It's a serious workplace hazard. But I'm really happy with where this went.
Yeah, me too. I don't really have a ton to add. I think we didn't actually change this card very much because the concept was just so great, like, you know, other than like numbers tweaks and stuff. But yeah, this card's awesome. Our team loved it.
All right. And then let's look at our final card, which is this set's. Oh, they said the thing. The thing. The last card.
Trono di Eldraine, costo 5, artefatto leggendario. Quando entra nel campo di battaglia scegliamo un colore. Tappa, aggiungiamo 4 mana del colore scelto. Però spendiamo questo mana solo per lanciare magie monocolore di quel colore. 3 tappa, peschiamo 2 carte. Spegniamo solo mana del colore scelto per attivare questa abilità. Quindi è monocolor e andrà sicuramente in ogni commander monocolor, sia mono red, mono green, mono white non ci sono tanti, mono black sicuramente, mono white non so quanti mazzi competitivi ci siano in commander, ecco, però sicuramente è una mano gigante per commandersi. Ovviamente ha un costo 5 per essere un artefatto leggendario, sì, molto, molto, molto potente. Parla di magie monocolore, quindi sicuramente si possono usare anche per castare il comandante. Quindi è un grosso aiuto anche per il comandante. E teniamo conto anche che ci fa pescare. Ci fa pescare 2 carte, che non è per niente male. Magari possiamo approfittarne in end se ci rimane del mana libero, ecco. E magari, non so, stiamo controllando un po' di più la board, e sta per arrivare il nostro turno, ne approfittiamo per pescare 2 carte che non fanno mai male.
On with the goals, like in Commander, it's usually more appealing and just stronger to play a 2 or 3 plus color deck. And we really have to incentivize you to do a monocolor strategy, and I think this card is doing that. And yeah, I think this card ended up in a really fun spot.
And I love that it meets that goal while at the same time being this throwback to the original Throne of Eldraine. We got a lot of questions when we started talking about this set about, you know, where's the monocolor stuff, the court. And we're like, well, you know, they're not in a good spot right now, and so we didn't do that. But I think this is a really cool callback that gives that touch of flavor.
Themes, and the main set is kind of expanding on these wilds, and it's such an awesome set, but we still want to pay homage to like all this cool stuff.
All right, We have only 5 minutes left, so we spent a lot of time talking about the cards, which is fantastic. If you do have questions, feel free to throw them in chat. It helps me if you tag @magic, and then it will help me notice them a little bit better. So we're going to start with, I saw a question about the precons. When are the commander precon lists going up? Those are all going to be previewed tomorrow. MTG, if I'm remembering correctly, MTG Mudsta and the Command Zone will be previewing those 2 deck lists. So look for those to go up tomorrow, and then the full card image gallery for all of Wilds of Eldraine will be up on Thursday. Let's see what else we have for questions in here. So we did talk about this earlier, but just to clarify, where are the Jumpstart cards going to be available with no Jumpstart packs? They will be in set boosters and collector boosters. You can head to the Collecting Wilds of Eldraine article on dailymtg.com for the details, but they're available in those 2 spots. Here's a question for you two. I saw this a few places. Various versions of Where's Shulane? So Shulane was a character from the original Brawl decks in Wilds of Eldraine. Was there ever any attempt to design a Shulane card?
Not with the decks we have going on. He didn't really fit. Shulane is, he reads like very generic, but he's or his power or his ability suite kind of pays you off for casting creature spells. But I think Flavorfully is a lot more adventure oriented, and these commander decks are enchantment, fairies, and then we look at the set boosters. It's a plethora of monocolor and these kind of one-offs. So Shulane didn't really fit the puzzle here. Maybe we'll see him another day.
Let's see. Have all the rares and mythics been previewed for the main set? I don't know off the top of my head. We are nearing that part of the preview plan. There may be some left today, but I'm not sure. A great question. Where is Oko? Don't know. Stay tuned. And the story, if you haven't read it, is all out on mtgstory.com. I will say Oko is name dropped in there, so check that out. But there's no Oko card here or Oko character lurking about. Wonder why. Let's see. Will we ever see Guff return, Corey?
Yeah, maybe. One day. If Commodore Guff is inside me at all times, he just comes out sometimes, but I've taken over and I'm back in control.
When does the full set list go up? Thursday. So Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific time-ish is when the full card image gallery will be up. Is there a legendary creature with the bargain mechanic in the set? I don't remember. I feel like there's gotta be, but
I don't remember.
Off the top of my head, I don't have any recollection, but certainly, like with Corvold and stuff, there's stuff that works well in that space.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. All right. Let's see if we have one last question. Are the anime versions available in regular boosters? So they are available in a number of boosters. The Enchanting Tales can be found. There will be one Enchanting Tales in every draft booster. If you want the anime versions, your best bet is collector boosters. Those have a higher frequency of the anime versions.
Quindi le carte, quelle giappo, con l'arte giappo, si trovano nelle collector sicuramente.
We'll have the details on exactly where to find each of the different treatments, as well as like what each of the different slots are in each booster. All right, that is our time for today. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Daily MTG is, or Weekly MTG, I've been saying Daily MTG a lot. Weekly MTG, this show right here, is going to be off next week, and then we will be back the week after that, opening packs and kind of showing you what's in the various boosters for Wilds of Eldraine. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
live è finita, è veramente una bellissima live, veramente belle carte, abbiamo avuto tutto il ciclo degli incantesimi, abbiamo avuto un nuovo fortissimo Corvold, abbiamo avuto le carte di Jumpstart e tutto quanto. Ormai gli spoiler sono quasi finiti, quindi tutto quanto lo vedremo nella prossima live in cui faremo l'analisi dettagliata delle carte del set. Per oggi questo è tutto. Io vi ringrazio di esservi uniti a me per questa live di Magic the Gathering e vi aspetto alla prossima live che a livello teorico dovrebbe essere questa settimana. Vi ricordo che le live vengono annunciate sul nostro canale di Instagram. Qua nella barra in basso che vedete ci sono i nostri social in cui c'è anche l'indirizzo del nostro profilo di Instagram. Quindi per tutti quanti gli spoiler, per tutte quante le news nel mondo di Magic vi ricordiamo di fare riferimento al profilo Instagram di Reborn Spoiler. Per tutte quante le altre carte, per tutti quanti i set, per tutto quanto il resto delle cose, invece dovete andare sul nostro sito internet che è www.rebornspoilers.cards. Per oggi è veramente tutto quanto, non mi resta che salutarvi e vederci alla prossima live. Ciao a tutti, Mondo Gatto!